We're doing this thing. Just either tonight, Hutch is coming back from India. He'll have the answers on what Pro Football Focus is and is not. We are in a lovely, yet to be cleaned luxury suite, and we are talking about the 49ers 37-24 win over the Tennessee Titans. Not perfect, not terrible, just another 49ers win. That's four in a row now, which don't know if anyone in the national media has noticed. They certainly have not played great football during that stretch, but they have won four games in a row. And in a league where pragmatism is viewed as the utmost virtue, sure seems impressive to me that the Niners they're in the playoffs. Like they have 10 wins. And technically speaking, there is a way that they could not make the playoffs. They didn't clinch tonight, but they're making the playoffs. They have a 98% probability per the NFL. I'm going to go ahead and say they're in. And that is unbelievable given where we have been at so many different junctures this season. I mean, it's been very easy to say that this team was done. I think I've done it roughly 2 million times this season. And yet they're going to get at least one more game than's already scheduled. And they are still very much in play for the one seed overall, though they didn't get the help that they needed today and looked actually like it might have happened today. There is it is an unbelievable season for the 49ers. And if we just view it through the lens of them overcoming everything that's happened to them, some of it self-inflicted, to be fair, with the Ayuk situation and beyond, just a real testament to the program. Sometimes Jake and I like to talk about programs in the NFL and the institutions of these teams, and if you're lucky, of long-term coaches. The program of the San Francisco 49ers is very, very healthy and very, very strong. And that is something to really celebrate if you're a Niners fan in a season that should have, I mean, let's be real, should have gone off the rails how many times this season? They have not just dug through and gotten the job done. They are in a position now to be peaking at the end. Now, that peak is far lower than maybe the initial expectations. That goes without saying. You don't have Fred Warner. You don't have Nick Bosa. You don't have Brandon Ayuk. The list goes on and on. But in a season where there is no juggernaut, where you don't have, I mean, the Chiefs are out, so the boogeyman is dead. I hope that wasn't tasteless given Patrick Mahomes' injury, but it's a fact that team that you can't count out until they're actually dead is officially dead. Uh, you look at the NFC. Okay, well, who would be the most talented team? You can make the argument it's the Packers. Well, now they're down Micah Parsons, down Christian Watkins. So are they the most talented team? Probably. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Is it Seattle who didn't score any touchdowns today? Is it the Rams who have lost to Carolina? And then, yeah, they I think Detroit choked that game away. I haven't watched, the full film yet, but from what I could tell, um, it seemed as if Detroit choked that game away more than the Rams took it. The Niners defense is woeful. I do wonder how much changes if you get just an NFL caliber middle linebacker in there. But we'll get into sort of the nitty gritty details on the defense. I don't want to lead with that. I want to lead with the fact that this Niners offense is humming. And let's just be very specific about this. The big question going down the stretch, I think Jake and I talked about this on our Thing show. My big question, and the thing that I thought would define the remainder of the 2025 regular season for the 49ers, is Brock Purdy's ability to rip the ball down the field. Could he or could he not do it? Yeah, he can do it. But at least for this game, he was doing it. And outside of the Brandon Ayuk throw into quadruple coverage in Seattle a couple of years ago, one of the more audacious rips I've ever seen firsthand. Uh, his throw on that crossing route might have even been an over route to Pearsall that probably should have been a touchdown in the third quarter, is as fast as I've ever seen Brock Purdy rip one. He ripped that 35 yards on an absolute fucking string right to Pearsall in a perfect spot. And Ricky was pissed at himself for not scoring a touchdown on that one. I talked to Ricky about it after the game, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a finger buster, man. That one is humming, absolutely humming." And this 49ers offense right now is humming because Brock Purdy is out here being a little shit. And I mean that in the most positive way possible. I mean, he's out here faking pitches 20 yards down the field and doing little jigs and dances. And he's back there like Fran Tarkenton or Steve Young or prime Russell Wilson, just making stuff happen, baby. There is no rhyme. There is no reason. There is only magic. And Purdy, that's as good as I have seen Purdy. And forgive me, I'm probably excluding a game from the disaster that was 24, maybe that Detroit game. But that felt to me like the best I've seen Purdy play since 23. And if that is in fact the Purdy that the Niners are getting from this point onwards, game on. Game on. It doesn't matter how shitty your defense is. It doesn't. You have an elite head coach and you have an elite quarterback if that's the Brock Purdy you're getting. Now, can you guarantee that? No, the track record doesn't indicate you can, guarantee that, not just this season, but overall. But and yes, it's the Tennessee Titans. No question. We went through all their deficiencies on Thursday. I'm not pretending as if this is some, you know, that he passed the bar or something with flying colors today. No, it was a remedial test, and he was out there stunting on fools. That's what I want to see an offense do, make the bad teams look bad. And he will get his tests starting next week against good defenses. He'll get the Colts, who again held Seattle to no touchdowns in a loss, and then he'll get the Seahawks in a game that could have everything on the line. So, and then the playoffs, whatever that's worth, which I would imagine, just guessing, just going off of the baseline principles of playoffs, that's going to be some stiff competition, unless they get Carolina in the first round. Though I guess they won't now because Carolina lost today to the Saints, and that's a whole other thing. Seeing Purdy operating at 23 levels, it doesn't fundamentally change anything because you always thought that was a possibility, right? I thought he played really well against the Browns, and so it didn't feel as if this Brock Purdy was too far away. But I mean, legitimately, I keep going back to that throw to Pearsall, and it's inconsequential in the grander scheme of things. But I just haven't seen him rip one like that in person. I felt like it was going to rattle the windows of the press box. And if he's able to stand and deliver off of a run, it was a fake boot dash thing. If he's able to stand and rip one like that, that is just such a game changer. It opens up the entire field. They had a limited Christian McCaffrey today. He still looked good. They were able to give B-Rob 9 carries. He was fine. I thought the offensive line did actually pretty well today, all things considered. Yeah, Purdy's going to have to scramble. He's always going to have to scramble. But Jeffrey Simmons is an absolute fucking nightmare. He's as good as any player in the league at any position. I mean, he scored a touchdown today. That was a nice little treat for all of us if you enjoy football. And yeah, okay, he made a great play. He made an absolutely great play to get the only turnover of the game for the 49ers. You tip your hat. The game was game was over. The game was over at that point. It was garbage time. The only thing that prevented was Mac Jones getting some more reps and having to put Christian McCaffrey back in the game and making this game a little bit more in the balance than it probably should have been. But that's just going to be 49ers football this year. It can't be straightforward. It can't be clean. There's always got to be something. So long as the end result is a win, I don't think you get to complain because you understand that they're going against the grain in everything that they do this season. And yeah, that's a game that with the way that Cam Ward was playing, with the way that RPO was just destroying, just absolutely wrecking the 49ers defense, like there was a shot that game could have gone very, very differently. And in fact, it was never truly in the balance. It just felt that way for stretches of time because, again, the defense was absolutely woeful. So that's the main takeaway that I have. Like, this offense is good enough to be the premier unit in the NFC playoffs. And when you don't have great teams, it might just be the best unit wins. Some years that's defense. More likely it's going to be offense. And with all due respect to the Rams, I like a scrambling quarterback. So We're going to find out in Week 18. We're going to get a lot of good information in Week 18. We'll see what that's all about and what's on the line there. But if it comes down to who has the best unit, I think that the 49ers offense can stack up with damn near any unit in football. And let's just talk through in the NFC. Like, I think that it can stack up and probably beat the Packers offense, which has really fumbled at times. I think that it can stack up with the Rams, though that's a much closer battle. I think it can absolutely stack up with the Seahawks, though that will be a very interesting matchup. Not concerned about anything Tampa Bay is providing right now. Uh, I actually think that this Bears game in 2 weeks is going to be really interesting because if the Bears are even more of a front running team than the 49ers, and Caleb is still a one read quarterback. He got away with some stuff today from what I was able to see. But when they're operating, and Roma Dunze got injured, and so there's another question on how, what level they're operating at. But that offense can put up some points in bunches. That is a chance to be some classic Big 12 shootout stuff between the former Oklahoma, nay USC, and Iowa State quarterback in Purdy and Williams. That could be a lot of fun for anybody who has no vested interest in the outcome of the game. So I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with that game. The Colts game is a complete crapshoot. Philip Rivers out there today, Bartolo Colon in the thing. More power to him. I'm glad he reset the clock on his insurance. He did make some nice throws. None of them traveled more than 4 yards in the air, so he was true to his word on Lance Zierlein's show in Houston at the beginning of the week. And yeah, I mean, he put them in a position, albeit with a 60-yard field goal. And by the way, I haven't counted up those 60-yard field goals, but that was a thing I said coming into the year, and it's such a thing that I don't even get to do victory laps about it anymore. It's just become accepted in society, a 60-yard field goal. Regardless, it is. I have no idea what the Colts are. I'm excited to watch that tape. Also, kind of ruining watching that tape, and the defense I know can bring it, and so that will be an interesting test, particularly on the road. This was the easy one. This was the easy one. Not necessarily for the defense because Cam Ward is good. He's good. He's going to be really good. But I definitely didn't definitely didn't get a passing grade today. I guess the Titans passed it plenty. They ran it even better. The defensive line has some real issues here. Now they will not go up against a team that's doing hard RPOs like Tennessee did today. So that's a bonus. But I think the Packers can pull off a little bit of that. They got that spinner action in the backfield. That'll be super interesting if these two teams do match up and how this tape plays into that. But the defensive ends were just crashing. I thought that Malik Mustafa had an abysmal game. I know he dropped an interception. That seemed like just the very basics of it. He was slow to trigger. Once he was actually moving, he was fast, but he was really slow to trigger a lot. Curtis Robinson in this game would have been better laying down on the ground because then maybe someone would have tripped over him. Did he disengage from a block the entire contest? I didn't see it. I didn't see it. And again, I said this earlier. I really mean it. Like, how much of this defensively terrible performance is just having a sub NFL level guy wearing the green dot and being your middle linebacker? It's hard for me to say. He was so bad. It's hard for me to say that just putting Tatum Bethune in there, and I think Tatum Bethune is a below average NFL middle linebacker. Like, just having him in there might sure up a lot of this stuff. But the defensive tackle situation today was kind of a tough watch. I thought Collins was fine. The same hit and miss stuff that we get with Collins. I thought that Givens was in a tough spot. He was told last night he wasn't going to play. Jordan Elliott's warming up in the locker room and felt something in his knee, so he couldn't play. So they had to get Givens in there, even though he's barely practicing and has been inactive for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I'm not going to throw anything on Givens. I thought Kalia Davis was woeful in this contest, and I think that Robert Saleh basically admitted that Kalia Davis was woeful in this contest because the Titans came out and just ran duo at him in a couple of trap plays again and again and again and again, and moved the ball with such impunity that Saleh pulled him. And I'll say this: we talked about this a week ago, maybe even 2 weeks ago. with CJ West. It's here. It's spectacular. It's very, very real. I am. It was just plainly obvious when he wasn't on the field, especially late on that last Tennessee drive, which is again unfair because Saleh does want to get in the guys that he's kind of relegated throughout. He wants to throw everybody in there because what's it matter if Tennessee scores? But like, um, Pollard was getting 7 yards a touch. Pollard looks super fast. I told everybody before this week I really liked the Tennessee offensive line. It doesn't surprise me that they were able to run the ball. It does surprise me that Malik Mustafa missed so many tackles despite leading the team with 9. It does surprise me that D. Winters missed so many tackles in the run game. He was really good in covering the flats. Eventually, they just stopped doing that in those tight end screens, but they were able to run at him. Not nothing crazy. It's not disqualifying, but it was interesting. Curtis Robinson wasn't in a position to miss tackles because he was being engulfed by giant amoebas that were pushing him 12 yards down the field every play. So that wasn't great. But when CJ West was in there, that stopped. Just stopped. And I'll have to go back and watch. I mean, I don't have, I wasn't focusing entirely on CJ West every play, but it was actually really interesting for the final 4 or 5 drives. Anytime Tennessee ran the ball well, I'd look to see if 99 was on the field. And then you'd see 99 coming onto the field, and then suddenly they couldn't run it on those next plays. And then they run it well, and you go, oh, well, they must have figured out West. Actually, you realize he's on the sideline. And maybe that's just a one game thing, but I'm starting to see a trend here of West and his ability to actually hold up against double teams. And beyond that, been pretty good in breaking off of hat on a hat blocks and getting an arm out there and making. He's playing wide, and as a man who is effectively a cube, I like seeing that. I think West could be absolutely huge. I'm done with anybody who's not Weston Collins. Collins, I can live with the bus because there's boom. Kalia Davis, I'm not getting enough boom anymore. I think everybody's on to him. They understand he's got one move, which is splitting the gap off of the snap, and that's where those trap blocks come into play. I mean, they just leave him so vulnerable, even worse than just getting the ball out quickly. Uh, it's not a great position to be in, but I don't want to see. I want to see 75% of the snaps with Collins and West. I know that's not the way Chris Kosarek does it, but I think that's the way it's going to have to be, particularly come the postseason. And if any of these games carry, massive, massive meaning, which I'd argue they all do as it stands right now. So that would be one suggestion. I think Bethune getting in there will be huge if he indeed comes back. And I think it's trending towards next week, though I could be woefully uninformed about that. There was a player on the field today, some guy they signed on Monday. I had no idea who he was. First time that's happened, who the fuck is that guy? I announced on the opening special teams play. So maybe don't take my word for it. The Bethune will be back on next Monday, but not a great performance from the defense at all, and yet it doesn't really matter because the offense was clicking that well. Special teams played well. It's a damn good football team. Is it a great football team? If Brock's great, it can be, and if Brock isn't great, they're pretty. Bleh. I hate the simplistic take. I think it's accurate. I hate it though. This is more of a macro statement. I hate the simplistic take of it's just head coaches and quarterbacks. Because I mean, is Andy Reid a bad coach all of a sudden? Is Patrick Mahomes a bad quarterback all of a sudden, or do they have a patchwork offensive line and really shitty wide receivers? I don't know. I mean, there's probably they got to carry some weight there. They're not totally exonerated. Uh, so I hate just kind of being simplistic of head coach and quarterback, but sometimes it's just head coach and quarterback. And this year, it particularly feels like head coach and quarterback. And again, you stack it up. Who would you rather have? It's hard to make a obvious no-brainer case for anybody other than the Rams right now and the 49ers. that's it. That's it. Because you can say, oh, well, even go into the other conference, you say, oh, Buffalo. You should go ahead with that Sean McDermott. I mean, I'll take Josh Allen every day, but you can have Sean McDermott. Drake May and Mike Vrabel, how'd that look today? Not too hot. It's Stafford and McVay. I don't think Matt LaFleur likes Jordan Love, so that's a conversation that can be had. I think I'm taking the team that's actually played in a Super Bowl and was in overtime of a Super Bowl and had a chance to win the Super Bowl before their defense came on the field over those guys. But maybe I'm just a traditionalist. That ancient history of 2 years ago. Um, this is kind of shaping up in a lot of ways for the 49ers to go on a run here. And that run's going to have to start on Monday. In a way, it's already started with these 4 straight wins. But if they've just been TCB and taking care of business, they need to ramp it up to another level. And I think the offense is there. So that's a question of, can the defense get cleaned up enough to be effective? I got some questions about that, but there's also the personnel in enough places to where you can buy that if they're selling it. All right, if we want to get some questions in, let's get it in now. Otherwise, I'm going to go home and put some kids to bed. Is this happening or what? I mean, obviously you're referring to the stream, but I would say, if this happening or what as it pertains to the 49ers, I think it's happening. I think it's happening on the basis of Purdy. He looks great. He looks really, really good. And so long as he looks really, really good, the Niners are going to look quite formidable and exceptionally dangerous. I think everybody wishes that you had this pure juggernaut team. I think everyone wants to go back to the idea of 25 or more recently 23 or 19 or more recently 23. 23, I think, having certainly the better offense, 19 having the better defense, because it wasn't coordinated by Steve Wilkes. But everyone wants that. That doesn't exist right now. It might show up next year for the Niners or some other team, but that team doesn't exist here in Santa Clara, and it certainly doesn't exist anywhere else in the NFL. The Rams might be the closest to it, and even that really, really strains credulity. So I'm interested to see, legitimately interested to see how this all plays out, because it could just be a crash and burn scenario. We got to throw that in there as well. I know no one wants to hear that, but I think we got to throw it in as a possibility. This defense can be so bad on a given day that if the offense isn't almost perfect, they'll get got in a big way. Very Detroit Lions last year. But I've seen crazier shit. And this year, it feels like crazy shit is going to be the name of the game. Let's talk about one Richard Pearsall. Richard Pearsall was exceptional today. Not a surprise. I stay out of this fray. I am woefully ignorant to this fray. I haven't seen a movie that isn't Frozen or Winnie the Pooh in roughly 5 months. I am not a member of society as it currently stands. So I was unaware that there was a large discourse about Richard Pearsall's theoretical inability to get open. That is not what I see when I watch football, or specifically this team. He's always getting open. It's just a question of, can they get the ball to him? Guess what? They got the ball to him today. It's the same shit he's been doing every week. They just got the ball to him this week, and that now looks like he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. Isn't that so funny? Isn't that so interesting? Because they don't force feed anybody, save for Juwan Jennings. They kind of force feed him a little bit sometimes, but because they're not thinking of a million ways Jackson Smith and Jigba to just get Ricky open, because they actually run an offense as opposed to sort of a 2-man high pick and roll game. It is, Ricky gets lost in the shuffle a lot, and more so, Ricky leaves, because he's a first-round pick. That was a shock to many people, not those who watched him at Florida, but because he was a shocking first-round pick for a 49ers team that theoretically at the time already had all their wide receivers. Heaven forbid anyone draft for future need at a position of power. It was he feels like an easy target. I guess it would be nice if he was an easier target. Well, he is. It's a damn easy target for Brock Purdy. It is. I don't know. Just keep the receipts on everybody who thought Ricky Pearsall was playing poorly and now is going to swing back the other way and be like, wow, what a great game from Ricky. It was the same thing. It was the exact same damn thing. So here's a good question. How worried are we about Pearsall's injury? We are, we're going to call it 50-50 right now. I talked to Ricky after the game. He played it off. The way I'll quote him. Forgive me, it's mostly paraphrased. Had a good talk with Ricky. I like Ricky, but the quote was, "Football happens." It's the main one. Uh, he thinks that the second injury was his PCL. He says he's not super concerned. Quote, "It's probably the same shit. At least I know how to manage it now." And as you will recall, going into his return, a lot of this had to do with pain tolerance. The fact that he was walking around and talking and doing side interviews is probably a pretty good sign. The fact that they have an extra day is a good sign. But yeah, he says he doesn't know. He's going to get some imaging done on it. But basically, his thought process is can't feel sorry for yourself. It's the NFL. Everybody's injured all the time, and he's lucky that he's not so injured that he has to eliminate the possibility of play. So we are both very concerned and brushing it aside because I think in the absence of the information that comes from the imaging, we are operating on sort of a day-to-day basis, and that's not ideal. You'd prefer the alternative. You'd prefer it if it was just the ankle where you can kind of just tape it up. And, well, he did exactly what he did today with the taped up ankle that he injured on the first drive of the game, not the first play. But it isn't. It's the knee again. It's the same knee. And, as he said, it's probably the same shit. So we'll see if the same shit keeps him out or limits him in the way that it did previously. And I do agree. Pearsall was blocking his ass off today. Jawan Jennings was blocking his ass off today. We didn't do a studs and duds today because it's not, Jake's not here to bounce things off. So I wanted to bloviate. And I thought DeMarcus Robinson had a wonderful game today. And it's so funny. You watch DeMarcus Robinson just be this winning player. He had an awesome block to spring Kittle on that sort of screen play. And it's more of like a pass to the flat that got 27 yards. Or no, 24 yards. Earlier in that drive, he was on the receiving end of a Purdy scramble for 29 yards on the deep throw. I thought Robinson was blocking his ass off. I thought he was running good routes. He's a really good wide receiver. And this is what we saw in training camp. He was the best receiver at training camp. And that includes Pearsall when Pearsall was out there. And it was so weird that just went away after 3 weeks. So, yeah. At this point, it is surprising that he's kind of coming along. It is surprising that they figured out, like, hey, maybe we should give this really good player the ball. But they figured it out. And again, not to glaze or pump the tires of the Niners offense too much in a game after the Tennessee Titans, but like they did make Shedeur Sanders look competent last week. So everything with a grain of salt. But maybe this is MSG. Maybe we need MSG for this one. But if the Niners are going to roll out a passing offense that features a first option of Ricky Pearsall, a second option of Jawan Jennings, a third option, I mean, if you can even call him that, of George fucking Kittle, who is just as good as it gets. I mean, I was saying Jeffrey Simmons is as good as it gets at any position in football. Like George Kittle, same thing. Just a superlative player. And then that DeMarcus Robinson and Christian McCaffrey as your fourth or fifth reads on a lot of plays. Like, my God. Imagine what happens when this team signs Kyle Pitts next year. Like, Jesus. So, and I want to give a quick shout out to Dom Pooney, who had to deal with Simmons for most of the game and was, to be fair, having a rough time, as anyone would, but did enough, often enough, to give Brock just enough time to make something happen. Pooney's season will not be held up in like some crazy high esteem, but Dominic Pooney's 2025 campaign, I will never forget because he started it injured. And basically, with the state of the Niners, it was like, I guess I just have to keep playing on this partially torn PCL. And he did. and he keeps fighting through it, and he keeps getting just god awful assignments. I mean, even against this schedule, they seem to constantly find teams with really good defensive tackles and particularly like 4-eye and 3 techniques. And he is just going through the goddamn ringer and he just keeps getting the job done. So if you need a spirit animal who is a person for this team, like Dominic Pooney, this is why character matters in the NFL, man. Like I can appreciate that, if you accumulate enough talent, it doesn't matter how many shitheads you got, you're too talented. But when the talent starts to dry up, either because those guys start aging out or because you're too injured, you better have some dudes who can fight. You better have some guys who you want to be in the alley with because the super talented guys, they're running off to their Ferraris. You need some dudes who drive pickup trucks. And I don't care what position that's at. You need some dudes who drive pickup trucks. You need some guys who enjoy the taste of their own blood a little bit. And Juwan Jennings is one of those guys without question. Uh, he's got a little bit of a screw loose, but he's a beautiful football player. And Dominic Pooney, one of the sweetest, easiest going dudes you've ever met, is absolutely like that. I don't follow MMA closely, but like a lot of these MMA guys seem like totally normal dudes, and then they're just absolute savages in the octagon. Like that's Dom Pooney, and God bless him. He has had one hell of a season. If you've followed bit by bit this season, because it was really going rough for a long time, and he has just found a way to not just keep holding on to shitty, but to elevate his game from that point, which was understandable as the competition just keeps getting tougher and tougher and tougher. And I think he gets to force Buckner next week. So Jesus fucking Christ, poor guy. Yeah, Don Pooney, what a dude. I think Brendel did well enough today. The fact that they were able to sneak it repeatedly against Tavondre Sweat is a hell of a statement. That is a very large, uh, very large athletic man. Simmons and Sweat is awesome stuff. It's really a shame the rest of the defense sucks as hard as it does. This is the most important question of the night. We're going to leave it at this. Benali asking, did we get the Brock Purdy, Drew Brees height comparison? And I am sad to report that we didn't. I was on this thing like my dog is all over me in the kitchen when I'm cooking any sort of a meat. I mean, I was all over it. And he talked to John Lynch for like 25 fucking minutes on the field. And he's like an inch or two shorter than John Lynch. And that's what we're going to have to operate on. Yeah, I'm going to just going off of, I was next to Brock today, stood next to Lynch today. I'm going to say that Brock is about an inch taller than Drew Brees. I actually think, ironically, because I lend such, I'm such a general asshole and incredulous about this stuff. I'm going to say that the listed heights are correct. I'm going to say that Lynch is in fact 6'2". I am going to say that Drew Brees is in fact 6 feet tall, and I'm going to say that Brock is closer to 6'1" than Brees is. We're going to go with Brock just a little bit over Brees, definitely not shorter than Brees, but we are playing a game of the transitive property, and I was hoping that today I'd have an answer. My next question, should I not get the opportunity, and we might get it in the playoffs, but should I not get the opportunity to see Brees and Purdy standing next to each other, is can we see some Russell Wilson versus Brock? I need to see that one as well because he looked like prime Russell Wilson today. I compared him to Fran Tarkenton and Steve Young. Those are Hall of Famers. Russ Wilson probably isn't a Hall of Famer. Maybe Brock gets there. Probably not. Just if I were to extrapolate it out from current standings, but I've consistently, to the chagrin of many, made the comparison of Brock to prime Russell Wilson, and the boogeyman who came and tormented Niners fans for so many years, and you have to admit now was kind of fun as fuck to watch. That was Brock today. That was a prime Brock performance. So now I need to see those two in the room together because there might have been a Freaky Friday situation on a field at some point in the not too distant past. So these are the issues that we're tackling here at Dieter and Hutch. This is the important journalism that really can't be found anywhere else. and we hope you stick with us and become a member as well. Um, I this is interesting. Wood Gravy, and shouts to Wood Gravy, one of our favorites here. Maybe Drew is sensitive to comparisons with Brock. Tom is still sore about it. Uh, I will say that Drew Brees, I haven't watched the game. I won't watch the broadcast of the game. Um, but I've watched other Drew Brees broadcast games. He's so much better than he used to be. And Drew Brees is an elite interview. Um, I actually, while I was waiting for Brees to kind of come out on the field, I was actually kind of just going through and accumulating some notes on a Brees Purdy comparison idea, and I don't think it will come to fruition. But had Brock been a little bit more rhythmic and high level operation as opposed to swashbuckling today, I could have made a Drew Brees Brock column. And so I went through and I watched 4 or 5 YouTube videos and got a lot of them transcribed of Brees, particularly at the 24 Super Bowl in Vegas, talking about Purdy. And I would agree. He's been extremely complimentary. I mean, Benali's coming in with that, and I think that's accurate. I think that he likes the comparison, though I don't feel that the comparison is exactly apt because I don't recall Drew Brees ever really turning his back to the defense. It wasn't a fundamental part of Drew Brees' game. Drew Brees was just a tactician of the highest order, which Brock can be. But I think Brock, if left to his own devices, and I think we saw that today, is out there just playing some backyard football. It's really fun. Um, I will leave you with this. Uh, Jake will be back on Tuesday. I told him he should take today and tomorrow off. He's coming back from India. Uh, don't push it. Uh, much like the 49ers defense, don't bother pushing. Um, Jake will be back on Tuesday. We will break this game down. We'll start looking forward. And we'll get back to our typical schedule here of Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then post games, which is easier said than done because, of course, I'll be traveling next week and we'll figure it out from there. But if I can do it from a not yet cleaned luxury box here at Levi Stadium, I can certainly do it from my parents' condo. And we'll figure out what Jake can do on the other side. Appreciate everybody who hung out on these last 2 solo shows. I clearly enjoy hearing myself speak, but I have more enjoyed hearing from you guys throughout it all. I think it's been a lot of fun. I think it's maybe something we incorporate moving forward because, again, Dieter loves him some Dieter apparently, and if the audience too enjoys this enough to indulge me, I think we can continue to indulge. Niners have 3 games left. Again, they're in the tournament. I believe they sit as the 6th seed. I have not checked. Yeah, they're the 6th seed with the Packers as the 7, the Bears as the 2, with Seattle, no touchdown Seattle, holding on to number 1. Um, this is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a lot of fun down the stretch. Going to be really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to figuring out what's what because this is such a wildly imperfect team, and yet everything is still on the table for them. This is my kind. Typical me. We're going to do a quick aside. There are a lot of people in the press box today talking about the Raiders because the Raiders are abysmal. And obviously, a lot of people in the press box, myself included, covered the Raiders for a stretch of time here in the Bay. And my great colleague Jerry McDonald of the San Jose Mercury News, who sits next to me, was looking at the stats and it was commenting to kind of anybody within earshot. Man, it would be such a bummer to cover this Raiders team. And my initial thought was, no, it wouldn't. This would actually be kind of fun. They're so bad that it's actually really enjoyable. And they're like chaotic bad, as opposed to like Tennessee, which is not a chaotic bad. They're just like overtly not good enough, and you can only extol the positivity so much and bemoan the negativity. So it's just the same story week after week. Like, oh, I think Cam Ward's getting a little bit better. And oh, Tony Pollard's a good player. And oh, Simmons is great. And also, they lost. They're like the Anaheim Angels. And I do think that Tennessee's going to get to where they need to go. They just need to get a new owner and a new head coach and a new defensive coordinator. But that's neither here nor there. I enjoy bad chaos. Like I'm actually kind of having some fun covering the Warriors this year. The boring ones are like the Sharks for the last, prior 4 years to the last two, or at least the last year and a half, season and a half, where they know they're supposed to suck. They do suck. And now you're trying to sell hope, but you also know that the time frame is so long that it's hard to hope. It's hard to sell the San Francisco Giants where it's like, yeah, they're going to win 84. No matter what, it's going to be 84. And so you can either ride the emotional roller coaster of the ups and downs, or you can just be like, yeah, it's going to be 84. Whereas I've been lucky enough to cover teams with scandal and wild palace intrigue and all that stuff. Those are fun, and good teams are fun to cover because of the world of possibilities and the engagement from fans. I my initial knee jerk reaction to like it wouldn't be fun to cover this Raiders team was like, hell no, man. They fire their offensive score. Like that's the kind of fun that I'm into. This is way more fun than that because you still have that chaos, but it's applied to a winning team. Like this is the best of both worlds. You get all the weird stuff that comes down with an absolutely god awful football team, except they keep winning. It really challenges one's understanding of what is important and what isn't, and that is fun. That is interesting, and this team also has some fun and interesting guys on it, and there are certainly some fun and interesting fans, though none as interesting as the guy uh, this week who was alleging that I'm being poisoned by mold in my basement. Okay. We'll leave it at that. Jake is back on Tuesday. You should go read the Hutch Report and subscribe. And, by the way, whatever happens this season, know this there are going to be some takes on some boys. And that came out weird. We will do NFL draft stuff full bore. And I'm eagerly looking forward to the day where we can flip the page and start going hard on that because we had a banner year last year in doing that. It had been a couple of years of doing it. Last year, it felt like we kind of got somewhere and we kind of broke through with the guide. And this year, I'm really, really excited for the possibilities with the guide and all the content surrounding that. So, yeah, hang out with us on Tuesday, hang out with us on Thursday, and then Monday night after the game. Oh, that's going to be a long day. I got radio at 6 a.m. That's going to suck. And I got a flight the next day with a 3-year-old and a 10-month-old. So pray for me if you're into that sort of a thing. But after Monday night's game, we'll be doing this members only chat again, and it will look a lot better than this one, and perhaps the content will even elevate beyond what I have provided you this evening. And with that, I say thanks so much for joining, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday. Have a good night, everybody.